Are you in Midtown or where are you at over there?
Yeah.
Are you in Midtown?
Undisclosed location.
Undisclosed. John, you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. You guys hear me?
Yep, I hear you now. Good show, let's crank it up. Call to order and approval of minutes from last meeting. Anybody?
Motion to approve.
Sorry, second. Approve. Do we need to vote on that necessarily? Okay, good. Chair report, I'll rely on John. John, do you have anything you need to add to chair report this morning?
I don't. I appreciate Steve stepping in at the last minute. Continue to be really excited about the progress we're seeing and on all fronts. So it's almost like it's going so well, you need to kind of pinch yourself, but obviously a lot of challenges ahead, but love the team we have in place and love the progress we're making and really appreciate the team that Mayor Johnson's assembled and the city of Denver. I think that's going to be a really great asset to National Western Center long term. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Good to see you. Congressman.
All righty. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
It is an exciting time for sure, and we're gonna try to cover quite a bit today and hopefully not get you too in the weeds, but there's a lot of exciting stuff that we want to get you up to. Next slide. We're gonna cover a good portion of the facilities update in the executive session. We're gonna talk about up north and equestrian. Just a heads up, we have our district sign plan underway that Steve Nally is leading, and that's making good progress. That's important because it allows all the signage on the Sue Shoots Rogers Livestock Center, and will also address other signage on the campus. So critically important process. We're working on a cell tower, our DAS system. We'll do an update on that at another time. You probably saw the construction coming in, the battery backup system, the best battery energy storage system, BESS. Yeah, I said it right. Is right next to the cup there, and it's kind of a big containery looking thing, which we're going to take advantage of and put a big ass National Western sign on. So that's a fact. It's a big ass sign. Not to be confused. Not to be confused. Events. There's just a lot of stuff going on. This weekend, and this is a record for us. There are 4 events this weekend, right? Yeah.
And we have 3 going up top, so we got 8, almost 7.
CSU has a number of events this weekend too. Yeah, it is. There's something like 10 events happening on this campus this weekend. That's what we envisioned. Yeah, it's different. You know, it's happening. Tonight is the Girl Scouts Women of Distinction dinner. That is a large event, a seated dinner for 800 folks. It is a bunch of folks. So lots of good stuff and lots of good stuff coming up here.
Just quickly, what's the Susan Coleman deal?
We're just a space over here in Marshall, you're basically in the corner for them to be able to run their operations out of their race course. So it's an operational point for the walk, for the run, the Susan G. Coleman run that goes on.
It's storage for them is what it is.
I mean, is the run, walk, whatever, start here, do anything here? All down, like it always has.
I think they move here, Steve, in the future. I'm just being honest with you, because I don't think they love exactly where they're at, but I think there's an opportunity.
Yeah, and we are all about being helpful to them.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Yeah.
And Nancy Brinker is a friend of ours. She's a great gal. Really great growth trajectory on that deal. That'd be really fun to have in here.
Yeah.
Great. Anthony, you want to go?
Community update, we have our monthly CAC meeting next Wednesday. Community benefits met last week. Attending the De Novo monthly board meetings. We have a member meeting next month. And then we hosted the Equestrian Center Hotel Task Force meeting last night with some community members. Got to show them some mock-ups of what the community space could look like. So had a really great conversation last night. Some upcoming events and sponsorships, Bird Seeds Summer Concert, the Tepeyac Health Center Gala, the DeNovo, which I mentioned, DeNovo board members meeting on October 17th, and then the Dio de los Muertos event at CSU Spur on November the 9th. Planning is underway for our second annual GES Trunk or Treat event in October. Again, probably another 20 plus partners on board for that event. Have raised a little over $4,000, I think $4,500 in sponsorships to help underwrite the costs of all of the activities and to make sure we buy a lot of candy so we don't run out, as we learned last year. And then beginning to identify sponsors for the stock show for 2026. Coordinating the parade. Again, it's interesting, the horse person called me yesterday, reached out to me and said, hey, want to know what's happening with the parade. So that was a good call to receive. But yeah, gonna be identifying sponsors so we can buy tickets and give those out to community for stock show 26.
Great. The big procurement we've got going on right now is ticketing. It's very active with that. We received 8 submittals on our ticketing proposal. That is very strong. And got interest from all the folks we had hoped to get interest from. That is a good outcome. It's a big deal for us, folks. You know, will be outside of the stock show. You know, we hope there are hundreds of thousands of tickets a year. It is a customer, a visitor experience touch point that is really, really important. We're going to talk some today about events, visitor experience, and how we're looking at technology, wrapping technology into the visitor experience. And as we roll out the Livestock Center in 2026.
Can I just elongate a little bit on the ticketing, Mr. Buchanan?
Yes, please do.
I want to make sure the board understands this might be the biggest line item of revenue that the authority will have. So it is very important that Brad and I are hand in hand on this. It is very important that we make a logical decision here. We have 8 great companies that have come forward. Some have said they would put money in up front for the authority if they were chosen. That's exactly what we want. So anyway, I want to make sure, besides concessions, this ticketing deal is as big as the authority will do. So, thank you.
Absolutely. And Paul has been a great partner on this. He's forgotten more about ticketing processes than any of us will ever know that. And,
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
This is John. I mean, obviously, this is where your expertise is invaluable. What are we looking for? Are we looking for, you mentioned the customer experience, which I think is really critical. Is it revenue in terms of how they price what exactly for us are the real key issues that you guys are looking at? Differentiators?
Yeah, John, it's really, Brad and I are in agreement that we need to choose 3 really good companies that the promoters can choose from when they come to this site. And there are reasons that I'll talk about for that, maybe an executive session, but having a good berth of ticketing companies that promoters can choose from will drive more business to the authority. And that's the intent here. I think what you look at from a company standpoint, John, is their technology cutting edge? Is their research and development in place and very, sustainable into the future? What if there's a power outage on their website and across the country? What would they do? Because systems cannot go down in the middle of an event. If your system goes down in the middle of the event, you can't scan anyone in. You're screwed. I mean, you're just going to be looking on somebody's phone, assuming that's a good ticket if you can't scan it in. So anyway, I think those are key things as well as stability of the companies that we choose. So they're not in business 1 year and out of business 2 years later.
Okay, thank you.
We have a staffing update. It is with a sad heart that I tell you that our friend Anthony has decided to look for other opportunities down the road here. Anthony is going to be with us through November 4th, and then looking for some other opportunities after that. And we're excited for him. He has moved the relationship with community substantially. He's absolutely been the right guy at the right time, doing the right work. And we will have some more thank yous for Anthony, but we're so thankful for everything he's done. And Anthony, if you want to say a word.
No. No, it's been a rewarding, you know, even though I've only been here 2 years, I've been in the GS communities the past 5.5 years. And, you know, over the last several months, I've just, begun to do some soul searching of, you know, what's the next adventure, as I figure that out. But I'm gonna take a couple months sabbatical and then I'll figure it out then. But, it's a good time for me to, explore, what's next for me. So it's been a joy. I've learned a lot while being here for sure. And there's a lot of excitement, on the horizon for sure. So I'll be a fan.
Mike, you've learned a lot. But you've taught us a lot too, to how to deal with the likes of sun.
You bought some big shoes, Bill.
Yeah.
You really have.
I appreciate it.
You're easy to deal with.
Well, it's not great news to me, or our team that Anthony is leaving. It's not just about what he does, but who he is as a person and a team. We all love him. But we are going to take advantage of this and really look at what this role does and what we need. Our needs around community are different today than they were 2 years ago. And we've learned a lot through what Anthony does and how he does it. And so I think we'll be able to go out with our next job posting quickly. I hope it's live next week. And be able to bring somebody in that is the right, again, the next right person at the right time for this work. This is hard work, folks. It's very hard work and but important work. And so more to come on that. Today is the events, as the focus is in on events, and Joe will be doing a presentation on that in a little bit. Mr. Chair, you can cover partner reports. Mike's is in the board packet, CSU is in person, and stock show is in the board packet, so Jocelyn was here.
Thanks for the chance to do a slightly more in-depth report, although I am still going to be brief today. And I'm really just gonna focus on a subset of what it is we're doing at Spur. And then next time I do this, I'll hit on some of the other things. We can go ahead and go to the first slide. So a couple of things to just highlight overall. Our makerspace, which is in the shop. If you have been in there, you remember the garage doors that open out toward the backyard. That space has largely been empty, but now the Richardson Design Center has some equipment in there. It is available for community use, and we should talk to Sandra maybe about how to help make sure folks know that as well. But and Anthony, we have 3D printer. There's a fabric printing silk screen kind of a contraption. Obviously, I'm not my wheelhouse, so I don't have the lingo right. But we've got 3D printer, a laser cutter, and some other things that Carson, who works there, can help train folks on, and then they're available for use. They'll also be available for our artists once we move our artists into that studio space as well. Which is my second bullet there. I'm in progress with some arts programming, both making sure that folks know about our theater and rehearsal spaces and can come and make use of those. Community arts organizations that may be lacking those spaces. We're also looking at curating different chunks of the building as different art gallery spaces. So some for community, some for students, some for our residents, some just sort of rotating art spaces because we do have a lot of blank wall space, and it's a great opportunity. So that's ongoing as well. And we'll be launching an artist residency, that will include those artists in the studios, but also the curation as well. Just a note about our past second Saturday, I think this was our largest outside of stock show, so we had about 900 people there this past Saturday, which is really great. In part drawn by the Colorado Food Showcase, which is a B2B opportunity for folks to come and understand the different food companies that are here in Colorado. So really excited about that. And perhaps most exciting, our fish have arrived up in the greenhouse. You know, we just love putting more live animals on site. So we're gonna add a second trout tank. The koi are up in our aquaponics tank in the greenhouse. So I don't know if you're familiar with how aquaponics works, but basically the fish waste goes into the system that provides fertilizer for the plants, and then some of the plant waste ends up being fish. So we love that. So a couple things coming down the pike as well. We're getting started on planning for stock show and incorporating more folks from Fort Collins now that we've made that administrative transition. And are working on expanding our middle and high school programs, as well as having more admissions and athletics presence down here. So that's the overview, and I'll dive into a couple things if you go to the next slide. So our education team, our fall field trips are already full. We'll be opening registration for spring field trips in October. So if you know any teachers, tell them to hurry up and get ready for a spring field trip registration. We're hosting a statewide teacher conference. We've got some new high school interns that are working with us. We're also working with CSU Global for everybody who interns with us to be able to get college credit for doing that. So that's really important, and we're excited to be able to offer that. And then the things that we currently have on site, we're releasing those here this weekend. So, and then we get 400 new eggs to start that all over again. You know, Doug, I don't know. We're not releasing them here. We had dreams of doing that, but it turned out it was not conducive, and the water levels are kind of low and the temperature's not right. So I don't know the exact location, but
They have released trout up near stadium.
yeah, it's not very far.
I don't think their life cycle is maybe that.
Okay, well, I'll let you know. I'll find out. We are also adding some exhibits at Spur, so we have an RFP out for that, and are working on expanding some of our virtual and river related programs, and are working with stock show for field trips and volunteer trainings for January. So soon, relatively soon, I guess in January, we'll also be opening registration for summer camp. I'll try to keep reminding everybody about that so you can let folks know who are in your networks. All right, next. We have Eduardo Gonzalez. Many of you have met. He is our new community outreach coordinator. He has been spending a lot of time just getting acquainted with GES and connecting with our existing partners. So he's been really busy having a lot of conversations and also attending a lot of events. There's a handful of them up there that you're all familiar with. He's been at, and we've been hosting Sandra and her team and Sport Communitario at Spur. We're really excited about how that's going. And Anthony already mentioned Dia de los Muertos, which we're excited to be supporting and hosting on the 2nd. 9th. Sorry, I'm just looking in paper confirmation. I have the wrong week, but yeah, the 9th. So excited about that. And we're going to be continuing to enhance our community facing programming as Eduardo gets his feet under him. Next. I'm not going to go through this, but just, you know, partly to Brad's point, we do have a lot of events happening, and I have beat stocks trying to keep track of all of them. We have a ton happening. August, September, and October are really busy. October is an incredibly busy month for us, so we're excited to be doing all of the path posted and all the things that you see there. PBS 12 had their first confluence event at Spur this week, which was really interesting, and happy to share more about that if you're interested. But really, really busy, and really excited to continue that in October. Next slide. I think that's it. So any questions? Yes, Doug.
900 people, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
How'd you promote, advertise, what was the mechanism?
So, part of what's happening with Second Saturdays for us is as the word gets out to families, we've gotten on a couple of mom Instagram feeds and chat groups and Facebook groups and things like that. So some of it is the mom network, which is powerful. Some of it is, with the Colorado Food Showcase, some of it was the Food Innovation Centers networks and the list and all of the people who were there as a business. It was the Food Showcase, bringing people. But, you know, we're continuing to
A lot of
work on it.
different networks.
Social media has been a lot of it and word of mouth. I mean, I remember actually walking in the Pride Parade and hearing people say, I love CSU Spur. And then another person next to them saying, what is CSU Spur? And then the person describing what it is. And I'm like, oh, it's happening in real time as we're walking through the parade and they see our sign. So, so I think a lot of it is that having a place to come that's free, particularly in really bad weather, whether it's really hot or really cold, to come and have your kids learn something has been, that network effect has been really powerful.
So Jocelyn, I remember hearing talk of parking issues whenever we do something, even though it's free, people can't come because of parking. Doesn't sound like you've had that issue.
We have not yet, but I think some of the things that we're starting to bump up against, Brad alluded to as well, is when we have things like Second Saturday that bumps up against a large event. Right now, folks we're managing, but it's not gonna work in the long term. We're gonna need to enhance our parking capacity, which good news is that's coming.
Anyone else for Jocelyn?
We were at the food showcase with Sabor Comunitario. We were in the kitchen and there was a lot of vendors. It was a great event. So we were able to sell food also for.
Thanks for participating.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Good, you bud. Paul, do you want to cover anything that's not covered in the packet or?
Only one thing, a reminder, you should have received, the authority board, I'm confirmed with Chloe and Angela, a invite to our legacy building topping off at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, so I think it's, well, 3 o'clock is the actual, maybe that's where pictures are, but 4 is the actual topping off. I think that's probably right. So anyway, just if you can make it, great, let us know. They either send something to me or send something to Chloe, Angela. They did send an RSVP with that link. So again, that's where, you know, just like in CSU, you sign the last beam, goes up, and so forth. So, but outside of that, Steve, that was all we have then. Chair.
Good, Sheila.
Can you remind us the date of that? Oh, it already,
It's the 24th.
thank you.
Doug, did you update anything? You want to just wait until the integration of us and you and?
Yeah, well, the next one would be great. We'll do that.
Good show. Sandra and Caroline, how are you guys doing this morning?
Hi, how's everybody doing this morning?
Good. Anything to add to your packet that you've got on board?
I really wanted to mention the upcoming Tepeyac Gala. I saw that it was already, thank you, on one of the community meeting lists, but just a reminder, it's going to be on October 3rd. If the National Western is going to get a big table full of fun people, that would be fantastic. If anybody wants to attend just on their own basis, there's individual tickets as well. I've been to the gala the past couple years and it is always so much fun, such a great time. So I really look forward to it and I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you folks there.
Go. Sandra.
I just have 2 events, well, 3 events in the community happening. So the GS Coalition is gonna have a movie night tomorrow. I think it's a documentary about the stories of Illyria. And that's gonna be at Johnson's Rec Center from 7 to 9 p.m. And also there's on Saturday, there's gonna be a ceremonial dancing Aztecs with vendors happening at Swansea Rec Center. And I believe that's at 10 a.m. It's gonna be at 10 a.m. And also we have the Dia de los Muertos, November 9th at CSU. We're gonna have it at the 3 buildings, and that's with different community members and Eduardo helping organize. We need volunteers. We're gonna create 2 different altars. It's gonna be a community altar, hydro, and there's gonna be an animal altar at Vita. So if anyone wants to bring their pictures of their pets, for their family members. We're gonna do the altars a week before, so to have it there for a whole week. And we need volunteers for that too. We're trying to create a big community. Okay. Also, we're looking for sponsors, donations, material, everything, because it's gonna be huge, hopefully.
Anybody have any questions for Sandra or Caroline? Hearing none? Oh, how are you doing? Good. 2 thumbs up. So Steven Biederman, whoop, there he is. You don't have anything to update, or did you have any comment on anything?
Good evening from here on this side of the world. The Finance Committee did not meet in August or September, so that's why we did not include a report in the board book, but I will just make some brief comments that through 8 months of the year, our revenue for the most part is on track. However, event revenue again is going to significantly underperform for this year. Currently forecasting a $500,000 shortfall in event revenue on the top line and about a $300,000 shortfall from events on the bottom line. That is somewhat being buoyed presently by an underspend in the facilities budget, specifically around contractual services and repairs and maintenance. But Joe does have some planned expenses around facilities, significant in size over the next 3 months that will lessen that cushion. So we're trying to be very prudent as we close out the year on the expenses, knowing that we are going to fall about $500,000 short on event revenue. And that's it.
And what part of the world are you in exactly right now?
The Kingdom of Bhutan.
Oh, well, that would explain your somewhat south of Apulian reporting style. I get that. Good show. Thanks for that, Stephen. Hope you have a good, safe trip home.
Thank you.
That's good. Anything else to add?
She's presenting during executive.
Yeah. Okay, we're good to go with her?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Anthony, anything else?
Nope, the community benefits committee met last Wednesday and the report was included in the board packet.
Good deal. Thank you. Joe?
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I'm gonna do an introduction to the events. We're gonna share this a little bit, so I'm gonna have sales jump in and do part of the presentation here at the beginning. So April and Ryan, if you wouldn't mind doing your.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's great to be here in person. I think the last time I was here was right after I started, so springtime of 2023. It's been like a year and a half. Wow. that's
If
time.
probably all the team should reintroduce yourselves and what you do so that everybody's reminded. Would be great.
Sure. I'm the event sales manager here at the National Western Center, so representing the spaces and selling them for events. And Ryan is the sales coordinator, and he is also doing similar tasks with event sales and event management. So I will just jump in. It's been a while since I've been in front of you all, and when I was first here, it was basically more of an introduction. We really didn't have anything going on that was significant, but in that year and a half, we've had significant growth, and we've got a lot to report today. So so much has changed in the year and a half. We are a growing sales team now with 2 of us, yay. And we have been developing policies and processes for our current bookings and strategies for future business. And business is definitely trending up. What's interesting about the event industry is how quickly time passes, and you're never quite in the present moment. You're always thinking forward to the next event. And so the concept of time kind of gets warped a little bit. Like, for example, it's crazy to consider that Joe is just celebrated his year anniversary. That came up on LinkedIn and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But then I consider all the progress that we've made and it feels like 100 years have passed. So regardless, the silver lining in time passing is that it gives us historical data. So now we can look back on a year and a half worth of events and actually share some stats. So you'll see on this slide that in 2023, we had a total of 36 bookings. And then in 2024, that number jumps up to 53 contracted bookings. with 79 event days and 102 total use days. So that's total growth of 47%. We also have 15 community events in 2024, including Earth Day and Trunk or Treat, where we're directly engaging with and serving the neighboring communities. We work very much to align our mission and principles with events we book. We're constantly using that as a filter. And we've had 21 mission-aligned events in 2024, so that's really exciting. In total, we've had 406 leads in 2024, and 51 of those leads are currently active and we're working to convert. We've brought over 45,000 people to the campus over this year and distributed 360 community tickets. So we're very proud of that statistic as well. 2024 has definitely been an interesting year for events, and the industry continues to function on this last minute basis. It's just kind of what happened during the pandemic and it's never fully recovered. And when we were running stats, one thing that was very interesting is that 40% of our bookings are under 90 days from the time of inquiry to the time of the actual event. So that's a pretty stunning statistic. I didn't include this on the slide, but additionally, alongside that percentage, 16% of bookings are executing in less than 60 days. And 2 of our highest grossing events this year have less than a 3-week runway. So that's pretty crazy. As we move forward to 2025, we see the volume of business growing, and we already have 42 contracted events, and 24 of those events are repeat business. I want to just stop and highlight the fact that that really speaks to the important and impressive work that's being done in ops to keep clients and maintain those relationships and bring people back. So year over year, this will be something that we grow our repeat business, something that we can count on. And it's just really exciting to see that we have so many clients wanting to come back. Community and mission aligned events are also trending upward for 2025. And we've got 10 community events and 22 mission aligned events already on the books. We are working currently on 40 active leads for 2025. And increasing the volume of leads and mission aligned business through another strategy, the development of a targeted industry segment list and outreach to potential clients. So this is, we've been very reactive with only one person in sales for a while. So kind of just handling what was coming in. And now with Ryan on board, we're able to be a lot more proactive. So developing potential opportunities for the future. So I'm going to let him speak to that on the next slide.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm the sales and event coordinator here. My position is 50-50 split between sales and events. I handle community events all the way through, as well as assist April and all the sales department booking the events as well. So what she was touching on here is what we call our business segments. This was enacted a little bit after my onboarding in June of this year. These efforts are aimed at proactively targeting and bringing mission aligned events for 2024 and 2025, 2026 and beyond that. This list is meant to cast the widest net possible for the variety of business sectors while still kind of aligning with our framework on campus. As you can see, we do have a number of different segments that we are targeting here. They do basically span from sustainability all the way to sports and from entertainment to public expos. Basically anything in between, short of what isn't restricted based on the framework and our mission here, we're attempting to kind of reach out and make contact with in some capacity. These events do range from smaller events that would fit well at SYEC all the way to large scale formats at the yards and LBC and Equestrian Center with those. So there is targeting an array of size there. We've had a considerable interest, and this is interesting, in larger events coming to campus. So a lot of people are very interested in what the yards can do, what LBC can do, what the Equestrian Center can do. So there's a lot of promise in 2026 to beyond as far as bringing very large events to campus. As far as an enactment of the system, we basically have come up with a 3-phase process and we'll continue to add phases to this as we kind of go down the line and learn more about these segments. In our initial phase, we reach out with essentially a small information packet or information email with maps, letting people know exactly what's happening here on campus. And that is basically a cold call or cold reach out to anybody who we've targeted. Phase 2 is a follow-up email with a phone call to match. We're moving into phase 2 with all of these accounts, or these potential accounts and clients. Phase three, we're gonna be working with marketing to create a media kit and in some capacity deliver a media kit to all of you as well. Big mailers, big digital, but we're gonna work hand in hand with marketing to do that. With that in mind, these efforts are directed from the sales department, but they do ultimately help marketing as well. If individuals aren't privy to what's happening on campus, or they don't have a current event that makes it here, I'm getting a lot of response with, wow, it's amazing that you guys are doing this here. I didn't know this was happening. We'll absolutely keep it in mind for the future. So within expos and conventions, a lot of people talk. And so if we're not getting direct business, we are potentially bringing leads down the line just based on cold emails. We do have a number of different large expos, as I've said. There's outdoor expos that are interested in coming here. There's an equestrian festival that's just in its conception phase at this point. It's they're interested in coming here. A couple snow festivals, auto shows. So we're talking large scale, big activations. April and I have been discussing lately that pieces do feel like they're starting to fall together, which is very exciting from the sales perspective. That kind of leads into 2026, which is what April's going to touch on next.
Yeah, so 2026 also shaping up really nicely. So we're working obviously 3 tracks, 3 years simultaneously. But I do want to mention that also in those bigger expos, there's specifically a focus on ag and sustainability, and we're really targeting those segments as well to make sure that we're covering all of our needs in terms of meeting our mission. But yes, tons of excitement around LBC. What we see happening, which is a nice trend, kind of away from these last minute bookings, but trade shows and expos targeting LBC, obviously. So these groups are, you know, planning well in advance. They want multi-year deals. So this feels a lot more solid in terms of business. The first 2 quarters actually of the year are basically fully booked with event holds and proposal or contract status. So that's super exciting. And the 3rd quarter is also filling in very nicely with the expectation that they may be fully booked for 2026 at LBC by the end of 2024. The summer is a little bit light, but we're looking at targeting concerts and things like that for that particular period. Summertime is always quiet in terms of indoor business for Colorado because everyone wants to get outdoors naturally. And I do just want to point out that a lot of the bookings are really the result of excitement building around the building. Like everyone is kind of clamoring to be the first one there and kind of stake their claim. And so that's really exciting. We're also keeping in mind the relationship with complex clients and moving those folks over here, integrating the right people and making sure that we are maintaining those relationships. So, you know, I don't want to not address the elephant in the room. 2024 has obviously been a very challenging year for us financially. We recognize that. We are trying to look at the areas that we need to shore up and supplement with definitely a focus on F&B. And as Paul mentioned, ticketing coming online, that will be a huge revenue source for us. So we are looking at strategies to make sure that we don't have another 2024 and 2025 and beyond. But things are shaping up really nicely. As you can see, things are looking really good. So this is always a continued process of refinement and evolution, and we know that, but we do want to recognize the significant gains that we've made and the direction that we're headed because things are looking up for us. So
Well, if I could just add something, you know, we took a trip to South Point, the equestrian center and hotel in Las Vegas here a month or so ago. And we were learning about that in regards to the equestrian center because they have a hotel there too. And so we're learning about that. But the other reason that the authority team was there is that they started this thing up, you know, whether it was 16 years ago from scratch. And it was fascinating to talk to Dave, the GM there, about what was that like? What was the ramp up process really like? And one of the things we constantly struggle with is, do we want everybody right now? And yes was the answer to that question. And he's like, absolutely. You want to take everything you can get right now, bring it and create the activity because it will start to pile on, and then you can be more selective over the years. You find out which ones are profitable, which ones are most mission aligned, and as you become more in demand, you can make more specific and mission-driven, objective-driven decisions. So that's what's happening here is, and we have been ambitious around setting our events revenue goals. And we will continue to do that. We are going to stretch hard on our events outcomes here. But there is significant progress that has been made. And customer experience has been good. And we've worked out a lot of kinks and created a lot of systems that we're going to talk a little bit more about today, but trajectory is good, but it's hard work, folks. This is hard to ramp up a new facility and get people aware of it, have it become their place. The slide 4 just had a thing that said, I think there were 24 repeat events that are booked for 2025. That is a good thing, and we want to continue to grow that. Bill.
Yeah, April, two-part question. One, what's the nature of your relationship today with Visit Denver on all of this? And then the second part of it is, what's the nature of competition with other venues, whether it's convention center, Gaylord, Mission Bowl, or whatever it might be? How do we stack up in the venue category?
Yeah, certainly. We walk in lockstep with Visit Denver, so we have a very tight relationship with them, and we're actually developing. We're working with Denver Sports, and they work with Visit Denver to target large sporting events, and conversations about things in 2027 and 2029 are already happening. So that relationship is very warm. In terms of competition, and I think I kind of understand where you're going with this, that, Visit Denver services the convention center, and is there competition there? Convention center is really heads and beds, and so they're trying to push off to us things that are not necessarily heads and beds. So there's enough volume of business for this market that Gaylord can be full, we can be full, convention center can be full, and people will still be looking for space. In fact, it could be that we work collaboratively for bigger citywides at some point when the buildings are fully developed. So I look at those relationships as very collaborative and very much in good standing. So Joe might want to speak a little bit more to that too.
I think you said it well. It's just, we've even had conversations where they're looking to, from Visit Denver side, complement each other with big piece of it's over to convention center, but they need to host tournaments or something over here, that kind of thing. I think it's already kind of happened. Some of what's going on with the complex and stuff, so it's just building that whole thing. But yeah, we have had Richard and his staff out here quite a bit. We've actually engaged with Visit Aurora as well. They've come out because Gaylord needs places as well for festivals and things like that. So they are also engaged with us along with destination management companies and all of that. So we're hosting another event for them to come out here and see the venue again in a week or two, something like that.
In fact, we could get as much business, well, maybe not as much, but a significant volume of business from Visit Aurora because we are just down the way, right? So when people are looking for bigger offsites, the biggest venue that is in Aurora was the hangar at Stanley Marketplace, and that's no longer available. So people are looking for the next thing down the road, and we're it. So there's a lot of business that we'll be working with them as well.
How well do we communicate with Paul's team in terms of integration communication?
Actually, Kyle just called me a few minutes ago when I was talking about the presentation. A lot. We're especially as time goes on, we're having to be much more collaborative in terms of talking to our clients that are coming over, how their policies have worked, how we're going to transition people. So it's, again, hand in hand, really.
Yeah, it's close. It's daily almost. Let me ask you though, April, you made this statement, which I know is true, that the first quarter of 26 is very booked up in this major driver's license now, right?
Yeah.
Pretty booked up, right? And I know some of the ones that are coming to you. I see that building as having two venues, an arena that seats up to 5,000 and an expo hall that's 200,000 square feet. So are both sides pretty booked up, or is the expo hall side booked up and the arena has still got some inventory?
Thank you for bringing that up. It's a really good point, and I'm talking pretty much specifically about expo.
Okay.
So arena business is still very open, and I think that the idea was with OVG to be kind of targeting that area. My expertise is definitely not in concerts and concert bookings, although Ryan has a lot of expertise in that area and can assist. But I think that that's the direction that we were headed with that. So I am specifically talking about expo space.
Okay, thank you.
So with that in mind, we are touring today with APG and Live Nation.
Good. No, it's really important those get developed. Brad and I, have had this conversation. Those are the two relationships that need to be cultivated, developed. We gotta schmooze those guys and gals. I mean, that is the two behemoths in the country for sure. So anyway, good. That's good. And, again, a lot of those tours aren't routing, 2 years in advance, as you all know. So, but it's important to be on their, calendar. So, thank you.
The mission side of that contractually, you gravitate more toward longer term contracts for example, the arena rather than the expo. I mean, are you cultivating longer term contracts with mission specific clients or prospects? And you do a one-off contract or a one-off deal, until you get seated enough to really go all in on missions specific.
Yeah, it's kind of what Brad spoke to a little bit earlier with regard to that other facility in Nevada. You kind of have to take everything right now and we can't be as selective, but that is the target and goal. That's where we're headed, is to be very specific and targeted with who we're booking so that it is mission aligned and all of those relationships long term.
I want to just drill in a little more to what Bill's comment was. In your conversations with visiting the convention center team, I mean, are we exploring how to grow existing events like the auto show? So envision doing, having Jeep or Dodge in the expo hall inviting VIPs over to an experience that you can't experience anywhere else in the country, or growing the beer festival, Taste of Colorado over here. I mean, are those conversations, because that was a conversation early on, that we had when we were envisioning this place, is not just how we move events, but how do we grow existing events that most places can't do.
Yeah, I love that. And that is what the growth of this campus and particularly the size of the buildings. We're growing events from even SYC over to LVC and then talking about moving to, equestrian center. And then, maybe moving campus wide, and just depending on what happens with the triangle, there could be the opportunity to even grow and expand that way. A good example of that would be ETH Denver or the Gem and Mineral Show. Those shows potentially could grow significantly over the years, given that there's more space here. So, yes, that is definitely a conversation that we're having with students.
But I think to add on to that, a lot of that is with client base. So if we're talking Carol Hiller, we're talking with auto show folks, they are discussing those things, but they're trying to lay out fiscally how would that work for them. So it's partly driven with the idea and partly driven with the finances for their shows to see how they can work that out.
Yes. Anybody else with a question?
And this might be more for Brad, but maybe you guys can answer. I appreciate the context around mission-driven events, but I'm curious I get how missions work, I get what they're supposed to, but are you getting pressure from someone that we're not getting enough mission-driven events, and are you concerned about that? Or is this just an overall respect for the mission and we're trying to get there? Is someone bugging you?
No, I think it's
we're
just a filter.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
we're constantly driving
Right.
towards that. We're just leaning into
Which is
that.
what you should be doing.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
Curious
yeah.
to know if you're getting flack from someone.
No, it's a balance between, wanting to fill the space
Yeah,
and hit numbers, and having as
And
much of
wanting to
that
be
be mission driven
aspirational.
as we possibly can, and to constantly improve that over time. It's just, the pressure is internal. We know that's our job.
as it should be, as it
Yeah.
should be.
And I think sometimes too, there could be question of, are the events that we're hosting not mission driven, right? So that could be in part of the battle there. So we just make sure that we're using that as a filter, I guess.
And speaking of the South Point, is there, and especially since you have such a collaborative relationship, this might be the wrong question, but is there any opportunity to steal some part of the PBR from them?
Yes, actually, we have a conference
When
call
was
that was
that meeting?
moved. It
Was
was
that
moved to
today?
the 25th.
Next
Yeah.
Get the cup of-
You guys are asking like all these questions and these things are actually happening inside your package.
Best practice, attract.
Yeah.
Provide another alternative.
It's probably not really a steal the PBR. They travel everywhere and they want to be here, okay? So Sean Gleason, their CEO, are longtime friends, right? they want to be here, it's just where will it fit in, and then we
Okay.
do it every Friday night, you know, those are the things you guys will be talking about with them, so.
They are being very helpful to us in identifying on the national landscape. What events are in places that aren't a perfect
Yeah.
fit for that venue, and he has been super helpful with that. Like, there's this big RC radio control thing, 3 days, 10,000 people with cars that's in some place that he is connecting us to with the person making the booking, because he knows we will get it. When we go for it, we will get it. And there's a half a dozen of those. But it is also about networking with these national promoters and operators. It's just a whole community that sort of rubs elbows with each other, and they talk a lot about getting those relationships.
And that even happens regionally. So Ryan and I are doing a lunch with, the sales team from the Ranch Event Center. And that group has started amongst similar venues like, county fairgrounds and things like that. They've started like a leads group. So, we can share leads even locally amongst each other for similar type events and similar venues. So, definitely a lot of collaboration happening.
We need to jump into these other slides so we can get to Cinchio, because we've got items in executive session too.
It's exciting that this is a good conversation. We're having a good conversation. Event and sales growth, just wanted to kind of highlight what we already spoke with, about Ryan. Bringing him on, we really wanted to make sure that we were focusing on our community event programs all the way through. Sandra was nice, worked with us on a couple of events, one event, right, all the way through, and has had a firsthand experience with that. And it's improved drastically as we continue to focus on with that. We're also working other events through, and it's just much more of a connected piece for us now, all the way through, having that from the front all the way through the piece. And so that's been a real success for us. Sales leads and outreach that we talked about, that's been a big piece that we could turn our eyes to. And then, campus events and coordination, we've been able to step up our game on that, and we'll touch on that a little bit more on the slide in a couple here. So, in the future, just preparing more, we have another sales staff that we'll be looking to bring on and to help lift with the increased load that's going on there. So we can go to the next slide. Ryan's gonna real quick go over client care systems. This is what we put in place to really really focus on our clients as they come through and make sure that they know we're hearing them as a team for their events, so they feel comfortable here, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's just basically the gist of it. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm half sales, half events. On the event side, this presentation here is brought to the client within a few weeks of their event in order to show them that we've grasped all the concepts they have and that we're ready to execute on all of their needs. This is for Eat Local Foods on 10/2, which is a community and nonprofit event that we're doing in the Expo Hall at SYEC. This was presented to them on Monday. This goes over everything from set information, as you can see, all the way to their floor plan and their run of show. It just basically tells the client that they made the right decision coming to the National Western Center, and makes them feel warm and fuzzy, and that we're ready to execute on every need that they have. So we'll keep it short on that, but.
And then we can go forward on that. Desiree is gonna cover a couple of things that we've implemented here. She's new, but she's moving quickly, which is great. So if you want to go over some of your slides real quick, Desiree.
Stand up.
Oh, no, I'm gonna give you my seat.
I'm Desiree. I am the campus and event manager of operations. So we just wanted to cover a few things that we've started system on. I hit 2 months in like a week, I think. Thank you. So these are just a preview of some of the systems we put into place. Currently, we've developed a lost and found program. So the campus has a full lost and found program, both for events and for non-events. So somebody just walking through campus, and we have help from CSU and how we direct lost and found over to their buildings. So hopefully that helps us cover all of our client services. And then along with that, we also have an injury and incident reporting system that was put into place to help us with anything that happens on campus, whether it's a injury to an employee, an injury to an attendee, and any other graffiti. So, neighborhood specific items that we have. We also have implemented a equipment rental program. So we have a good deal that I think Joe's gonna talk about later with Sunbelt for some special pricing. So the goal is to get clients to rent all of their big equipment through us, and then we can hopefully make a little bit of profit on that. And then we're also working with PRG, who is our AV vendor, on developing specific packages for each of the buildings that we have, special lighting packages, ringing packages, and items like that. And then for our campus coordination, Ryan and I have been working closely with Joe for our campus coordination meeting with WSSA and CSU and NUCO and all of our partners. So we have reformatted the presentation to go along with this, just to give as much information, both visually and informationally, to all the partners. This is just a preview of what some of those slides look like. One of them is construction updates, which we reach out to everybody to get any construction dates they have, and on a monthly basis, we have it bi-weekly, but we can update as we go. So we do a little layout for all of them for that. We do have a map of instances or incidents that happen on campus, whether it is a fire or a theft or anything like that. We're trying to map those out and matrix them so we can work more closely with Denver Police Department and Denver Fire Department, so we can let them know what we're seeing, and then they can give us feedback from the community on things that they're seeing, like if there's trends in the neighborhoods. The smaller one, which is microscopic down there, is our event calendar that we review, and it goes over each of the areas and what activations they will have in those areas on a map that are color coded to the events that they're having. And then the other side over there is just a parking activation that we have. So we're working very closely with CSU and WSSA right now today, specifically for this weekend with those 10 events that we're having. It's where are we putting everybody? How are they parking, and how's that going to work? Next slide. And then last piece for me is our campus services directory that we're working on. We are trying to implement a directory that can be used campus-wide, both for our partners and for our clients. That is just all the services that we can provide to them or have insight to. So this is a preview of that little kind of table of contents of those services, whether it be, snow removal, grounds beautification, and then there's a little snippet that kind of just talks about what that is. And then we are working with our vendors currently to develop what we're calling pitch sheets, which is just a one-sheeter that can be included in that directory. So the goal will be, if you come in as a client and you're like, I have no idea who to go to for these, we can provide you with this booklet and you can select from there, and then we will help coordinate those services. So that way everybody has top-notch vendors available to them that we have already vetted and we know are good to use on campus.
Very good. Thank you. On the next slide, we wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that Jen has been doing, putting out there for if you're out following us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of our other social media, you will probably already have seen these, but just want to show this again. This is some of our focuses on the center that really enhance people's awareness of events and what we're doing here and what's happening. So, Jenna. So those are exciting. We'll have more of those coming out, over time that just keep highlighting certain areas that we're doing. And we'll do a deep dive in sustainability in November, or a deeper dive. So you'll get a little bit more on the whole program that's kind of getting prepared to roll out for that. So I'll leave that for then. Other partnerships and projects, we've already touched on a couple of these, so I'm not gonna go back into those again. There's some others that are exciting that we're working with, is MS Cleaning. MS Cleaning is a small local company, that we have been able to work with just some of our, vendors to be on the campus. They'll also be working with us to work on M&O building and, in the MAN building. These companies are too small to really be able to engage with the event side of stuff, but we want to try to work with them because they are GES businesses to figure out ways that we can bring them in and then and maybe grow them into something that is able to help us in more avenues within the campus here. Wayne Enterprises is our new janitorial services that we've just onboarded this month. And we've had good success. It's always a little rocky when you're making a transition from one to the other, but I think we've done really well actually with that, and I managed to get that onboarded in a succinct way. Arbor Valley, we just aligned with them to be getting our trees. We obviously have a big campus of trees here. We have an ongoing effort to make sure that it stays the way it looks, and so that is a great benefit to us. They're a really good partner that we get to work with, and they have a very good commitment to community, and they're going to work with us on working to do Earth Day and distributions and things like that. And then just real quick, we Wrangler and Mile High Flood District, we'll touch on more on those on November as well, but those are helping us keep the river looking good. When you're walking down there, you have a good experience. So those are some of our partnership projects that are out there that we're continuing to enhance and grow, and they overarching help our events and our overall site. Final staffing for 2024, we have one more person or one more position that we'll be posting shortly for safety and sustainability. That is a huge piece for us, obviously, with all the efforts that we're doing, and it's very important to have that on as we get into commissioning. So big pieces there with our safety, campus safety, and all of that will be involved with that and our sustainability efforts. And then we move to 2025, where we'll have a couple of key positions that we really are excited to bring on because they continue to enhance the experience here on campus, for not only partners, but for events as they come in here as well. Additional operation components, that's just a highlight you've seen before of things that we continue to onboard and the timing that's going on with that. So moving on from there, we're excited to have a partner highlight, and that is Cinchio, who we're working with for a customer experience here that we think is going to be top notch. This will be something that most venues this campus this size would not have the opportunity at, but we were able to work this in with SSA and our contracting piece that we are able to engage in this, and it's a really exciting piece for us to be able to have you guys talk about. Thank you. Anything else, Fred, you want to add to that? Okay.
Yeah, just, I think I know almost everybody in the room, but I'm Todd Langfield. I'm the Vice President of SSA, who's overseeing the National Western Account project and strategy as we build this new campus. And then I'll introduce Nate Brandt, who's our Vice President of Sales for Cinchio Solutions. And it's probably important to note, so Cinchio Solutions is SSA. It's just our technology brand and our technology branch that we use to promote our different applications that we use across the country. And then our partner on specifically what we're talking about today, Attractions.io, who is the worldwide application for different attractions, major attractions around the world. And we're really excited to put it in place here at the National Western Center. I think it's amazing for our guests. And it just comes with so many different features and things that we can do to really connect with our guests on the really personal level. So I'll kind of let Nate take it over, the expert from here, and give you guys a rundown on what this thing can do.
Yeah, thanks. Guys, Nate Brandt, head of sales over at Sensio Solutions. I've been with them for about 2.5 years. As Todd mentioned, prior to Sensio being released in January, I was with SSA for 1.5 years. We're still in the same family. You're gonna get the same support, the same service, the same operations. We just decided to take that digital company and break it and hang it over ventures. So we have two main focuses of that is to continue to support our partners, which is priority one, which would include you all. And then we're branching out into new verticals and segments because of what our solutions are capable of doing. So the great news is we've been working with the team here to lay out the guest experience out specific to what you guys do on campus. And there's a lot of customizations and a lot of flexibility, but most importantly, it will enhance the guest experience as well as give you guys the information you need behind the scenes, specific data, reporting CRMs, and most importantly, being able to reach your guests, whether they're on site or off site, to stay communicated with them. So we can go to the next slide, right? I don't run through. So what we thought we'd do today is just kind of give you guys a brief overview of attractions.io. So the purpose of this application, again, is to connect with your guests pre, during, and post. How do you stay connected with them after they leave, get them to come back, market, communicate with them? How do you get them to spend more time when they're on site, have a better experience, spend more money, communicate with them while they're on site? And then pre, right? How do you connect with them before they even come on site? How do they know what's taking place for the specific days that they're gonna be on site? Because there's a lot going on here. Now you have the ability to actually connect with them before they get on site, which obviously drives more accessibility, it drives better experience. They tend to spend a lot more, and it's all about accessibility. One thing I will say before we dive into the actual core features, which is what we'll be deploying here on campus, is this is an open API. We can connect with any platform that you guys have. So it doesn't matter if it's food and beverage, if it's retail, if it's ticketing, we are gonna sit on top of that and connect through the back end and give your guests native experiences through that application, right? So I'm sure everybody here has purchased tickets, you know, at a sporting event or a concert or has, you know, mobile ordered your food. That whole experience will sit within this application for these specific events that are on campus. So we'll start with the core platform. We break it up into 3 different buckets. You've got the mobile app features, so that includes the wayfinding, the messaging, the backend CRM. There's many, many things that come with that. But the important thing to know is because of the API we have, if you guys have ideas or thoughts that you want to move forward with from a digital perspective, we can do that internally. You don't have to outsource that to third parties. And what I mean is maybe integrate with parking platforms, right? Or websites. We have the ability to do all that without you guys having to go outsource the work. And then we've got our platform features, which is the connect and content backend, where you guys have access and realistically dictate the guest experience. So what that means is you get the backend, which is called connect. You guys are able to go in and add content, delete it, message your guests both on and off site, get the marketing segmentations. We'll get heat mapping for historics of where your guests moved through the campus, how long they've spent time there, how much money they spent certain things. And then you've got the live map, right? Yeah, it's insane what technology is doing now, where you can literally track people from the second they get into the parking lot until they leave to go home. Next slide, please. So we'll just go over a couple of the core platforms. The onboarding experience, this is where everything starts, right? We are GDPR compliant, so when it comes to protection and privacy, you don't have to worry about that legality piece. And again, you guys have the flexibility to put what is on there, whether it's required and mandated, or you just leave it open to gather as much information as possible. This is where you get the information for each guest that's going to download the experience. Typically, it's first name, last name, email, phone number. All of that app utilization behind the scenes is the data that you guys are collecting to be able to specifically target relevant information to these guests while they're on site and off site. Next one, please. This is probably the most powerful feature within the app, and one of the 2 points of interest that is used most frequently is the maps and wayfinding. So you think about how large this property is. Right now, we're working on drawing out the professional services on the mapping for the campus as its own. Once we build that out, then what happens is we have the ability, having this being proprietary, to put points of interest within that platform. So as events change, or concerts are different, or a stock show, whatever it may be, we have the flexibility to go in there and add and change and move those points of interest. So everything that's taking place on campus, they will have accessibility to that. We've got advanced wayfinding now as well, which means we can have the wayfinding features at night. So the map has night vision, as well as multi-level wayfinding. So most of these buildings will have tiered levels. We can actually wayfind now on multi-level. I think this is probably the biggest one for you. One of the most questions that have popped up is the service here isn't that great. Great news is this works in offline mode. So you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi or ping and cellular strength and drain battery life. The maps and wayfinding feature will work in offline mode. Next one, please.
So it's guaranteed, right?
Yep.
So that is our biggest challenge, right? And
Yeah.
listen, we love it. We can't wait till 2026. I may try some stuff in 25 if you guys want to try some, but the cell towers go down because I got 100,000 people here on CSU Day, because they're gonna break the record again this year.
That's right.
So that's where, Nate, we've got to make sure, because I don't want to frustrate everybody, but, and Todd certainly knows all this. By 26, I think the DAS system will be in, okay? And the DAS system is different. It's a different deal across the site. However, the Coliseum won't be on the DAS system. And everybody coming here is going to expect to use this across the entirety of the campus. So we have to think through that with you.
Yeah, and we've got ways to do that. The great part about this is Attractions.io has been around for 15 plus years. So proof of concept has been out there, by far best in practice. They've got market share. They're dealing with over 180 cultural attraction spaces now. And so much so that they're breaking into new verticals, as I discussed, where they're working with cruise lines to lay out entire counties and excursions and resorts. So we partnered with a few people in regards to laying out certain services that we ensure that the application will work. And we've got our in-house beacon technology as well for locating certain messages and features, which we'll get into. But that's priority one for us as well, to ensure that the app works at the entire time. On schedules, just to kind of touch on this, we did a little bit, this would be obviously pre-visit, right? So Nate family are coming to an event I've never been, or I've been 15 times. It changes every single year, right? Whether you guys have certain offers or features, you guys can actually go in and put suggested packages of what you want people to purchase or what you want them to do when they're on site, especially for people that have never been here before and don't understand what's going to take place. Outside of that, they have the ability to go in and kind of add their own selection specific to what they want to do to maximize the time while they're on grounds. Next one, please. Points of interest, this is where you guys could be most impactful. So if you think about a point of interest, that is something that is inside the maps and wayfinding for somebody to be able to either find or go experience, right? So it could be as granular as hand sanitizer stations, or restaurants, or merchandise areas, or how do I get from the Coliseum to a different location? We work with you guys on what the summaries, what the content, we can add audio and video links in there. We can drive the mission and vision of what you guys are trying to accomplish with, conservation and sustainability. A lot of people don't know what you guys do on the day-to-day and how it's in the local community, right? You work with a lot of people. How do you get that information out to the guests that are coming here to drive more of that impact with what you guys are doing? Also, there's sponsorship and marketing opportunities through this app, right? On the homepage, we're seeing a lot of our partners now market this app for potential sponsorships, donations, and marketing efforts where they're putting them on that homepage of the app. And you guys know behind the scenes that you're driving 500, 600, 700,000 people to this app with guaranteed connections to be able to market to them. That's powerful. Next one, please. Tickets and mobile wallet. So we have the ability to extract tickets into the mobile wallet, whether that's, concert tickets, event passes, memberships, anything that somebody purchases, whether on site or online, we extract into the mobile wallet that helps with the document utilization. We can customize it and differentiate it however you guys see fit. Just know one of the biggest things that you'll have here is customability, right? We can customize however you guys see fit. We talked about the offline mode. That is going to be the most important feature here for you guys. And then how we optimize for scanning across everything. We've got so many different platforms within the actual application to make sure that it works with your guys' operations on the ground. Next one, please. Food and beverage, we can tie the whole bundle experience in, right? So it doesn't matter if we operate certain pieces, whatever systems you guys have, we can tie into this application. So you can tie in bundled experience with food and beverage, with merchandise, with retail, whatever the experience is, and it helps with upsells and cross sells across the entire platform. We've got so many different ways that we could do this. Our mobile ordering platform is native in there. So if I'm walking around doing a certain thing and I want to order food at a specific restaurant, cafe or lounge, I don't have to go wait in line or order there. I can do it. It'll send messages to me letting me know where to go pick it up, how long it's going to take. And we have the ability too to kind of throttle orders with knowing how busy you guys get at certain points in time in the day to make sure that, you know, we don't have to funnel lines at certain locations. So a lot of flexibility in how we lay this out. Next one, please. Table booking, we have the ability to do delivery. If there's obviously restaurants on site and people want to sit down and order and have it delivered to their tables or delivered to a different location without actually having to go to the restaurant to drive more of the experience specific to what they're doing at that point in time. We can do that.
Hotel room.
Exactly. Yep. Next one. In-app purchases, this is where we can get really creative, right? Depending on the experience and what you guys are trying to market to the guests, either pre, during, and post. We have the ability to integrate those experiences in here, kind of enhancing those activities to premium experiences, right? So this is going to be a one-stop shop for the guests that will utilize the application. Everything that you guys have to offer, both what you guys do as well as whatever event is taking place, is going to go through this application. Driving more of the experience, making sure the payment options are frictionless, and they just have an unbelievable experience. Next one, please. Briefly, again, this just goes to show the power of the API that we have, with the ability to integrate into photography platforms, right? So think about trying to get the word out of an experience that you had here. And I've been following, right? We're seeing a lot of things hit Instagram. We talked about the social media outlets, how you drive more of what people do when they're here to get people excited about what you all do. So we can make sure that that takes place, having driven directly to the social media channels through our application, driving more of the experience. Visitor information, everything that takes place in this app, you guys are getting that data to be able to, again, on the back end, pull up segmented information and target them specifically. Instead of sending out 400, 500, 600,000 emails that maybe is not relevant to half of that group, now you can literally target market to what experience they had, what tickets they purchased, how many days they were here on site, how many times they showed up. And then our info app page is where you can literally go in and put anything and everything about what you guys are doing. And it's not just now, right? You have the ability to actually market weeks in advance, months in advance for next year and start selling tickets to those events and tracking how well those are doing before they even happen. Guest satisfaction was a good one, right? We talked about how we can link things to social medias, we can tie into certain APIs and have photography baked into those experiences, but we have a survey platform that's being utilized right now 99% of the time when a guest downloads the application. And the reason for that is the relevant information specific to each person that has the app. And we typically use our beacon technology to be very strategic on where people are within an experience and tag them. You know, hey, I'm walking by, you know, a restaurant, it's lunch, make sure you go get your meal now. As they're walking out the gates, we can ping them and say, hey, how was your experience? Happy sad face pops up, they click on the happy face, leave a review, post all over social media. Great news is, if it's a sad face, we keep them far away from social media. They're going to come back to you guys, and you're fixing the issue before they're even in the right? But more importantly, you're getting that data to understand what's working and what's not working. And that's not just a simple, how was your day? We can customize those reports specific to what info you guys want to know about how the operation is working. And what better people than the ones that are experiencing it at 100%. We talked a little bit about this. So the power of the heat map, and again, what AI is doing is at a historic level. You guys, day over day, week over week, month over month, now can see how many people have come on site, where they're moving through the experiences, what they've spent their money on, how big their groups are. And then what happens is event over event or month over month, you guys start getting that historic data to say, hey, maybe we don't need a lot of resources over here, or we can allocate resources over here. Or maybe we should put food and beverage and retail popped up over here. Pardon me. You've got a live map as well. The difference obviously is that is real time where people are at. So the communication device that you have to be able to market to people on site via push notification and email is Nate's moving through the experience here. You can send a message out to Nate and family or to anybody in specific areas saying, hey, we've got an event starting now, buy tickets, right? So you'll be able to manage how many tickets have been sold to different things, where people are at, and kind of dictate the guest experience specific to your live map that we have.
I got one comment on that too, that we think is could be unique to this property is, so when, you know, a show gets booked in the new expo hall, right? Let's call it a home and garden show. You know, this is something that you have as a benefit to that promoter and probably a cost to that, so that you can start, you know, potentially making revenue off of this app, but that person, you'll be able to tell them exactly how their specific show is set up and where the best booths are and how people were going around their specific show. The hardest part about that is gonna be just making sure that they are able to submit their maps in time to like change that map and mark out where all these different booths are. But that's pretty powerful for people who are looking for venues to have shows, because you're gonna be able to provide them so much more information on what they're doing compared to anybody else.
Yeah, that's a good call out.
Yeah.
Next one, please. And I think this is the last slide. This is the user segmentation. So I mentioned a few times, everything that is taking place in this application is being tracked in the back. Every piece of data that you can possibly imagine, you are getting relevant, segmented, specific information for every person that utilizes the app. And that is what tickets they purchased, how long they were on site, how they moved through the events, how many times they've been here, how much money they've spent. And now you can start to segment and filter those marketing comms, either in push notification or emails, both on and off site. So now you have your guest information and a connection to them from start to finish. So pretty powerful stuff. That is probably the fastest 30,000 foot view of this application. You can talk about it for weeks. But I think the most impactful things behind what this application does is the flexibility you all have to manage and operate it. And when I say that, it doesn't mean it takes a full-time employee to do it. It's very self-sustaining in regards to how it operates, with everything being automated from implementation. There are some resources, obviously, that you're gonna have to put behind this to manage comms that go out on the fly, events that change, and maybe, you know, the marketing, and communication, and content branding piece. But we help you heavily with that. Outside of that, the open API customizations, nobody else is capable of doing what we're doing. So we're super excited to partner with you guys to kind of take this experience, so to say, first to market in an environment like this.
Yeah, every time you do this, you know, it seems like a lot. I mean, think about running a venue and everything you want to do from A to Z. It's almost all there. From getting people here to getting mobile ordering, to getting around the campus, to marketing, to, you know, the surveys at the end, like it's all in one place. And that's a pretty amazing thing, because normally you have 10 different things that you're trying to do to get all that accomplished.
Are you transcribing my lunch conversation?
Unless you got the app, then maybe.
How do you get people to download it in the first place? How do you get the achieve initial engagement?
So each partner is different, right? Right now, we're seeing 96% of the guests download the application for every single partner that we have right now.
Once they walk on site, once they
No,
purchase a
so-
ticket?
Yeah, so we have the ability, depending on how people buy tickets here, right? Most, I would say, buy online, and then a welcome email is sent out with your tickets, and then you extract them into your mobile wallet, and then you show up and scan the QR code. That's typically how digital is moving through events right now. So what a lot of people are doing, we're seeing, like I said, 97% success rate, is when the welcome email comes out, we're putting the URL link on there saying, hey, check out our digital experience now, in order to have the best experience. Some people are mandating, like going digital fully in order to come to these experiences. Like, I'll make an example, Disneyland, Legoland, a lot of these larger cultural attractions you can't go to unless you use their digital solution. It's impossible. But we've got tons of use cases, tons of ways to get it out. Digital signage on site as well helps. But it's specific to you guys. We would have to really dial in, and that's probably one of the most important things that we would work on for sure. Many ways to do it, though.
It looks like we have a question online, Caroline.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, it's so hard to know when to jump in when I'm not in the room, and I don't want to cut anyone off. First, I just want to say this looks like an incredible, really powerful tool. It looks like it's going to open up a lot of really good like data analysis and opportunities. My question was, so for a little bit of background, we have some community space and we've been having meetings, and one of the topics of discussion is how are we going to handle the booking of the space for community members and things like that. And we hadn't really gotten to a solution for that one yet. And granted, it is, a little premature for us to need the solution right away. But when I was looking at the slides that had the restaurant ordering, I was thinking that could be potentially a great way to reserve community space the same way you might want to reserve a table at a certain time, at a certain date. So just wanted to bring that up as a potential option for the people in the room who I know are in there, who are also thinking about the community space and how we might handle the bookings and, all the things like that. So that was something I had thought about a little while ago as a solution that doesn't really require one person to be in charge of all the bookings and have to manage that and take on that workload, but rather to have a technological solution that the guests who want to book something there can choose their date, choose their time, open up the app, see if that date and time is available in the calendar and, do the booking through there. So if that is something that could be possible or potential, that's just something I wanted to bring up to explore for the community space side of things.
Yeah, that's a great point, and we have the ability to do that now.
So if you have that ability, without people coming on site and being part of an event, do we have the ability to perhaps integrate with the text app that we have now that is so aesthetically not pleasing, but yet effective for communication?
So what text app are you guys using right now? Do you know off the top of your head?
It's called Text 180.
Okay, and you guys are using it to communicate with guests that have been here, or what? Just fill me in a little bit of how.
It's primarily an informative tool, so, encouraging people to attend our community meetings, or we give a lot of comp tickets as an incentive for people to sign up for it, but it's just trying to keep people informed about what we're doing on campus. I would envision we would get rid of that completely.
This would replace the
Yeah,
text.
yeah, this is like
That's exciting.
this is very much a temporary kind
I know.
of building us over until
Okay,
something like this.
we talked about that. Okay, so, yeah, all right, I remember, I apologize. So it would absolutely replace what you have now, right? And then drive more power behind the ability that they would have. But more importantly, you would have more power in the way you communicate to the guests. And all of the information that you guys have now, we'd be able to integrate into the platform. And then send out, that would be one way to market the experience app, right? Is send it out via the connections that you've got to that portal, and then right then and there, I mean.
And then it's just a question of growing it even more than we have. How many people do you have on it today?
It's pretty minimal, like 380. I mean, this would
I think
be
it would grow.
tens of thousands.
Yeah,
if
this
not
would
more.
be, yeah, the hope would be you're getting 50 to 60% of your guests using the app. And that's first year, 2 year, and then from there on out, based off of the experience from what we're seeing, like I said, 90 to 97% after first time usage.
This tool would just be so much more powerful because we can segment the audiences as well. So say someone buys a ticket to the No Effects Punk Rock show, we can specifically target those folks. Say we have another punk rock show coming, we can target those folks and send them a push notification saying, X concert is coming on September 24th, buy your tickets. And we can specifically segment just the audience of people who bought tickets to the last punk rock show.
And by the same token, you don't have to bother somebody in Miami, Florida, who hates
Exactly.
punk rock, who
Yeah.
came to a home and garden show.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
Yep, exactly. And so one of the other things too that I failed to mention is you talk about languages. So we've got 60 different languages right now that automatically pull up based off the accessibility feature settings in the phone. So if my phone's in Spanish and I open up the app, it'll automatically translate the app in Spanish.
It looks like we have one hand raised online. Go ahead, Stephen.
This isn't the meeting to get into the details, but as the finance person here, I'd be remiss in not bringing up the significant annual cost of what I see as an information tool. In addition to the $30,000 or $45,000 to implement this, I saw your proposal stating $108,000 in annual fees plus an additional up to $30,000 for add-ons like digital wallet, retail marketing. How would you or how do your current clients measure an ROI on what could be a $150,000 operating expense for an information tool?
Yeah, there's many different ways, and we can definitely get offline and I can run you through kind of the statistics and get you in front of partners that have been utilizing the app. But with the native integrations, the food and beverage, the retail, the parking, I mean, donations and sponsorships, they're seeing 3-4x within the first year of the annual SaaS subscription license. So it really depends on how we lay out the experience here, but there's no question with how you guys are operating and running things here with the events and having this native app. I would say it's probably 30% informative and 70% drive more on-site spend, higher average transaction values when people are mobile ordering through the guest experience app. They tend to buy more events when they have accessibility to them. And there's a lot of stuff on the financial side, Stephen, that we didn't get into that the app has with shop stores and donations that drive higher spend through that application. Than somebody just coming on site for a concert, going directly to the concert, buying a couple beers and then leaving. This has way more engagement with additional information being relayed to them. But we'd love to sit down and go over what I personally feel based off what I know you guys do and how the ROI would look, specific to what the investment would be.
Thank you.
You got it.
Pretty great.
So just real quick, two quick points. One is obviously we're so mission driven, right? I mean, I think the ability to, we're still announcing a brand.
Yeah.
Is the ability to really highlight the mission, right? And all the integrated parts of the partners and what have you. So that's one. So it's super powerful there. The other to answer Stevens, and I just did some very quick math. If we added $3 per cat, like an increase of $3 per person, and I use 250,000 as an example, that is $750,000 just on increasing. That's what's buying one more beverage.
Yeah, that's the question. What is the increase per cap that you see with or without this?
Average nationally right now, we're seeing is 15 to 17% increase.
So
And
the
that's across
applicant, I mean,
100.
as an events guy, I mean, I sit here and go, wow, this is the ability to, and obviously we're all tethered to these now. So if we make it easy and the experience isn't over commercialized, I think that's the other thing we want to be careful of. And it's really about the vision or the mission of this place. People are gonna spend money.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many times you wanted an extra beer or soda or snack and the lines are so long that you're like, all right, forget it, I'll pass. Now you have the ability to do this regardless of where you're at. I mean, it's gonna drive so much more. We're seeing an average 40 to 60% increase on average transaction values when people are ordering through mobile ordering. The kiosk, there's a lot that we haven't been able to get into. That's gonna bundle the total experience with SSA Group, but yeah, I mean, this, you'll see 3, 4, 5x of what the initial investment would be for sure. Yeah, easily. But more importantly, the mission, the vision and what you guys are doing. I mean, now you have the ability to directly target the community on the efforts that you guys have been doing.
Very exciting stuff.
It is,
Thank you,
yeah.
guys.
No,
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time, guys.
Let's go. Anything else on your side, Joe?
No, we're wrapped up.
Good deal. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, guys. Public comment?
We do have a couple members of the community on. Please raise your hand or free to speak up if you have any public comments. It doesn't look like anyone. Public comment.
Thank you for that. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Doesn't he have to read something
Wait.
first?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, not yet. Sorry.
We need a second going.
Yeah, waiting on a second.
Second.
Second, thank you. Sorry. Marcus.
Okay, thank you. The Board of Directors of National Western Center Authority would like to go into executive session to conduct certain business. And this is being done pursuant to section 24-6-402, sub 4B and E. Confer with the National Western Center Authority's attorney if necessary for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions, to determine positions relative to procurement matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. The board will not and cannot adopt any policy decisions within executive session. Statute specifically prohibits that. Nor any resolution, rule, regulation, or formal action. This executive session is being recorded, and the recording will be maintained in the books and records of the National Western Center Authority for our purposes. Everything shall remain confidential in the executive session. The state